Hello, welcome to this video dedicated to all 3D tools and objects in AutoCAD 2016. Leave us feedback to improve our future guides. Before watching this video, make sure to know how AutoCAD works for 2D projects. In case you have problems, check out the related video in our guide. As long as you work in 2D, the 3D view cube in the top right corner shows just the top face, and your pointer is a simple white cross. To switch to a 3D environment, just click on one of the vertices of the cube. Such cube will show all its faces, and your pointer will be a star showing 3 axes. The x-axis in red, the y-axis in green, and the new z-axis in blue. X and y-axis compose the ground plane, where your 2D projects lay, and the z-axis the height from such. All 2D tools seen in previous videos do also work in a 3D environment. For example, you can give height to a rectangular shape to make it a 3D object. Just enable the line command and use ortho mode to draw following the z-axis easily. Then copy the segment on the other vertices to keep the same height, simply dragging from the central node while holding Ctrl down. Then you can close the figure with a polyline. Each 2D object has its own blue nodes already seen in 2D projects, and all the tools in Modify section do work the same, nothing changes. You can check your 3D work in any point of view. You can click on any vertex or edge of the view cube or its faces to check your project from front, left, right, back, bottom and top. Those faces are very useful to align objects. Faces can be selected also from the white arrows on the view cube. For example, from the top and the bottom faces, you can't see the object's height, while in all the other faces you can see their height but not their base. To check your project, you can also use the circumference around the cube or the orbit command on the extreme right. If you click and drag, you will change your 3D point of view as you like. Use Escape key to exit. However, there are some limitations in using the 2D tools in the Draw section. When you use these, you draw objects on the XY plane, the ground, or any plane parallel to it. If you want to draw through another direction, you need to rotate the XY plane itself. Simply rotate the Cartesian system to do so. The only tool that can spread in any direction is the Line tool. In this case, the line can be drawn outside the ground plane. You can also use the 3D polyline that you can find inside the white arrow of the Draw section. This is indeed a polyline, so an object in one piece, but differently from 2D polylines, you can't make any curved side in this case. What about the Edge command? Also, this one works on any object that spreads on the ground plane or any plane parallel to it only. The Edge tool won't work on all closed paths that lay on different planes. You will never create a 3D object using the Line tool to give height. AutoCAD has several 3D tools to create and edit very easily also in 3D. Those are hidden by default, so simply go on top and right-click on a vacant space. If you go to Tabs, you can show or hide tabs on top. If you click on 3D Tools, this appears in the list with all its 3D commands. You can create your 3D objects through the tools inside the Modeling section on the extreme left. The first button is used to draw regular 3D objects like cubes, pyramids, and spheres from scratch. Click on the white arrow and choose the shape you want to draw. You always have to define the base and then the specific height or extrusion. Apart from the sphere, that needs just 2 general points fixed. As seen for 2D projects, also while drawing 3D objects, you can use the command line below or your down arrow key to choose the way to draw. The base always lays on the ground plane or any plane parallel to it. The height does spread always through the Z-axis instead. If you want to give to the object a different orientation, you need to rotate the Cartesian system using its rounded nodes, as seen before. When you draw a 3D object, just its skeleton is shown on the workspace. This is called the wireframe view, very useful especially for complex projects, not to load your computer too much. You can change this view clicking on 2D wireframe in the top left corner. Use realistic or shaded to render your objects fully, shaded with edges to see both wireframes and volume, or X-ray to have some transparency, important to check an object also internally. Just 3D objects made with 3D tools are filled in those 3D views. 3D shapes made with 2D tools just show their skeleton and are not recognized as 3D objects. The second tool is the Extrude tool. This lets you create 3D objects, adding extrusion, starting from a 2D base. Just select the base and decide the height, moving your pointer or typing the height. This works on any base, parallel to the ground plane or any other plane. The third tool is called the Revolve and creates a 3D object starting from a 2D base. Differently from the Extrude tool, where you define the height to extrude, in this case you define an axis by fixing 2 points and then rotate as you like. In order to make the tool work, make sure to fix the axis outside the base itself and on its same plane. Loft creates a 3D conductor using 2D sections selected one by one. Make sure that these sections are overlapped enough. Then use Enter key twice. Sweep makes a conductor as well, but instead of taking sections, you define a 2D object used as a constant section and a path that will be the path of the conductor. Select first the section to take, apply with Enter, and then select the path. Make sure to make copies of the 2D objects used as a section and path, because these will disappear when the 3D conductor is made. In the first group of tools, you also have the Polysolid tool. This is useful to create personalized 3D regular objects. As you do with polylines, you just need to fix points, to place blocks with constant width and height, and the length defined by your clicks. Use Enter to finish drawing. You can personalize these blocks as you like. Before drawing, type W to set the width of each block, H to define the height, and while you draw, you can draw curved blocks typing A. Use L to go back drawing straight blocks. Use C to close the path. Always check the command line below. The base of the polysolid always lays on the ground plane as seen for normal 3D objects. Let's see how to edit 3D objects. Select the object to edit it. As seen for 2D objects, this will be highlighted in blue and will show its blue nodes and blue arrows. Blue nodes are used to stretch vertices in order to deform the object as you wish. Central nodes on the base are used to move the object without changing it. Blue arrows are used to edit the extrusion depth or any radius through the same direction indicated by such arrows. While you edit, it is better to use an X-ray view that shows objects with some transparency to make you see all the nodes available. You can also use the 3D gizmo, which is the Cartesian system that appears close to your object when you select it. First of all, this system appears only in 3D views, so in all views except the 2D wireframe in the list. Then, its axes are the same ones of the main Cartesian system, indicating the same directions. Move it by dragging from its central node. If you hover one of the axes, this will be highlighted in orange. You can click and drag to move the selected object, following such axis only. You can also hover a plane to move through such plane only. This tool is very important if you want to align objects. This gizmo appears also in groups of selected objects, of course. This is a gizmo used to move the object. There are also others to scale and rotate. Check in Customization and Gizmo for these. There are also more advanced 3D editing tools, all in Solid Editing section. These do require a selected object, as seen for the tools inside the Modify section in 2D. Press Pull adds or reduces the extrusion length of a 2D face or base that lays on a single plane. Simply select the face and then set the length. Slice cuts an object in two. Just select the object and fix 2 points to define how to cut it. Then click on one side to decide which part to save, or select Keep both sides with your down arrow key to save all. Fillet and chamfer edge edits the edge of an object. Just select it, use Enter to apply, and then click and drag the blue arrows to find the editing. Other 3D tools work with 2 or more 3D objects. Union creates a single object starting from the objects selected. Make sure to check with X-ray view. Subtract removes from an object all parts that do overlap with other objects. Select first the object to subtract from, use Enter to apply, and then select all the objects that must be used to subtract. Intersect saves just the parts of the selected objects that do overlap instead. Thanks for watching this video. Check out our guide to learn more about AutoCAD 2016.